There are certain very, very great advantages to the time in which you live with the technology. So, for example, there's this stuff called VR, virtual reality. Maybe you played with it. You wear a goggle and you're in another world, but you're in a world that somebody else made. Maybe they make them now, or you can adjust it yourself and so on. But basically, somebody programmed the world. The problem is you don't realize you already live in VR. You're in psyche. What is the psyche? It is an energy field that's malleable. This field down here is malleable, but you got to make big factories to melt the metal and structure different things and carve the wood and build the cars. So it's not very malleable. It's just somewhat malleable. But the psychic field of energy, it's totally malleable. You literally can affect it with your thoughts. In fact, it is your thoughts. You can affect it with your will. You can affect it with just intention. Will create something. And you don't realize it, but you do realize it. You just are so lost in it. If I tell you to create a boat, to see a boat, you can make a boat. How hard was that? How many people do you have to hire? How many factories do you have to build? You made a boat. I have met psychics that would see that boat. That's not a big deal to them. They would see the boat you made because it's a real thing. It just doesn't exist on this plane. And there are yogis and people that have powers who have the ability to take that which they made out of the psychic field of energy and have it drop down onto this plane. Did you know that? We have a icon of Shirdi Sai Baba, a different Sai Baba. Satya Sai Baba was a very great soul, very popular. He had the ability to do that, and he did it all the time. There was this stuff called Verbudi, and he would just, I guess, imagine it in his mind, another level, and hold up a vase, and this ash would come flowing with like hurricanes worth pouring out of the vase, and mounds of it, and fit in the vase, and he did it anytime he wanted. And some people say that when some of his disciples were getting married, he manifested a ring. You all call those miracles. I don't call them miracles. They're not miracles. They're no more of a miracle than water becomes ice. That steam vapor becomes water, becomes ice. Is that a miracle? No. He just slow down the vibration rate of the molecules. That's all he's doing, is slowing down the vibration rate of much higher vibration molecules, not molecules, right? But energy at a much higher rate. For whatever reason, he had the ability to slow it down and pops down on his plane. Many masters are able to do that. I swear to God, I do not see it as a miracle. You feel the Shakti enough, you start realizing every single one of you has the ability to create thoughts. Do you not? Well, where are they? What are they made out of? They're things. Thoughts are things. They can affect you, can't they? Can your thoughts affect your body? Can you get ulcers due to your thoughts? We're so used to it, we don't pay attention to what's going on. The point is, you have the ability to create an object on a higher vibration plane that not a single instrument for billions of dollars has anyone created yet that can pick up that thought. Yet everybody has the thoughts. They just don't pay attention. It's so funny. Where do you think the thought is made? Where do you think it comes from? Can you create a thought and it keeps coming back and you can't get rid of it? Yes or no? What is it? When you go deep enough to where there are no thoughts, you go deep enough in meditation, go deep, and then you come back, they're in slow motion. You can watch it, you can create it. Can you pick up on other people's thoughts? Can you pick up on other people's emotions? Have you ever sat in a car and you're sitting there with somebody, and all of a sudden you both say the same thing at the exact same time that has never been discussed for years and years? For some reason, that thought popped in both your minds at the same time. Okay? Well, I don't know if it popped in mind at the same time or somebody started it and the other picked it up. You pick up thoughts and emotions all the time. We're just not paying attention. I don't want to call it psychic. Psychic is implying that there's not a higher vibration plane in the universe where thoughts exist. Well, of course there is. You deal with them all the time. Can you get tired through thinking? Can you attempt to hold a blackboard and write 1,432 times 32 and try to multiply it out, and you have trouble and it fades in and out, and sometimes you do it better days, you can do it than others, yes or no? You have a higher vibration plane. Let's talk about that. This plane, what we call physical plane, The physical plane, the physics deals with the physical plane, is made of atoms. What is an atom? Now we understand what an atom is. It's not a thing. There are no electrons, neutrons, and protons. They're not particles. They're the quantum field. They're just vibrations. They're vibrations in a field of energy. Well, that's pretty neat. So even matter isn't solid. It's not what you think it is. I teach you this because you should understand the basics of what our scientists have found so far. They have found out that there are not particles. There are just wavelets in an energy field that behave a certain way. And that way that they behave and interact together make it appear they behave as, like they say, there's not an electron. Well, sure there's an electron. We know, we've seen it. It circles around the nucleus. No. That's not what they have found out. They found out that there are wavelets in the quantum field, thousands, millions, trillions of them. And the probability that they will show up and interact at a certain spot is the best they can do. So it's just a field of probability that an electron is. I'm not going to teach you, I couldn't teach you quantum physics, I don't know it, but I know enough to where I'm interested in what they have found. And I'm sharing it with you. That's so complicated, is it? It's a field of energy, but when you look down at it, you see its behavior. They interact together to create these force fields and interactions that end up being what we see as electrons, neutrons, and protons. So even this field, this physical reality, is not a physical reality. It is energy interacting with energy, like Einstein. Matter is energy, energy is matter, and the difference is just a temporary state. Ice is water, water is ice, the difference is a temporary state. See, if you move it down to a level you know, why don't you see it as a miracle? It's solid all of a sudden, just because it got cold. That's a miracle. What if you didn't know why or anything about it? Why did cold make that happen? Because cold slows down the vibration rates, the movements of the molecules. Therefore, they bond together tighter. Therefore, you can walk on ice. You can walk on water, just like Christ did. Just get it cold enough. So all we're talking about is we know that there are planes. What is a plane? A vibration rate. There are vibration rates of things that are not made of matter, that are not made of atoms. What? Thoughts. I love the fact that a physicist, great physicist, is studying and they'll say, no, here we have the electromagnetic spectrum, and we didn't used to know that there was ultraviolet. So when they defined the spectrum back when they'd have instruments, it was tiny, and now it's spread out. Does that mean the physical plane got better? No, you just were able to measure it. Someday, and I will not be here, thank God, they will be able to pick up your thoughts. That's a very sad time. When they can start reading your thoughts, whew, that's tough stuff. They will be able to. Why? Because they're there. Just like they were able to pick up these broader range of the magnetic spectrum. They will be able to have instruments that are sensitive enough to pick up the higher vibration rates that your thoughts are made of. That's the only difference, is they're made of a vibration rate that is so subtle, so high, such a high frequency that we have not developed any instruments that are capable of picking it up. Well, then how do you know it's there? Because you picked them up. Your consciousness, this thing you called your mind. By the way, your mind is an instrument that can pick up that vibration rate of energy. That's what your mind is. So there's a field of energy, and this thing you call my mind is able to pick up the vibration rates in that field. The scientists can't do it, but everyone can do it. And they can do it. That's what I think is hilarious. They say, no, there's no such thing. Well, then why are you using thoughts to study and build things, right? It's just, they don't look inside. They don't look outside. But you're yogis and yoginis. You look inside. So that's all that's happening. It's not miracles. It's not weird. There's just higher vibration rates of energy, which you know there are because you know you have thoughts and you know you have emotions. They can't sit there and say, no, they're not there. How about this? If you tell a scientist, very strict conservative physicist, I have emotion, I have thoughts. They say, no, you don't. They're just a figment of your imagination. Well, what's that? It's still something that exists, okay? They know you have this, all right? What are your dreams? Do you have dreams? Do you get in them and walk around? What are those made of? Where are they? What is that? Oh, they're just in your mind. What is that? That's a cop-out. Your dreams are real things. They're real things. They're at a higher vibration rate of energy, and you have the ability to create them and experience them, don't you? They exist just the same as this plane exists. They're just at a higher vibration rate that your physical senses can't pick up, but a psychic can, and yours can also. That's why you know your thoughts. You're psychic. How's that? You're picking up the higher vibration rates every single minute, every day when you deal with your thoughts and emotions. So what's the big deal that somebody got so evolved or their will is so strong or they learned the rules that they can create something in their mind on that plane, just like water or steam, and then slow down the vibration rate, and all of a sudden it plops down on this plane. Is that a miracle? Everything's a miracle that you don't understand. The minute you understand it, not a miracle. They used to be able to see inside your body and see your skeleton. But then they saw that X-rays, a high vibration rate of energy, can pass through and they can image it. Now, it's not weird. It's not a miracle, is it? What would you do in the old days, whether there was any X-rays, anything like that, and somebody fell down, your child fell down, you took it to a medical healer, weird witch guy, and he looked at your body and he sat there and said, all right, the femur is broken over here and this is broken over there, just without him touching anything to anything, right? How's that possible? Well, X-rays do it, don't they? So these things you call miracles are just because you haven't developed the knowledge, the instruments to be able to pick up reality. So the fact that somebody can manifest in psychokinesis, bend spoons and all these things, they're real. Are there a lot of fakes running around? You bet there are. There are probably way more fakes running around, magicians and so on. But it's reality. Okay, so we're talking virtual reality. What have you done? Now I laid the groundwork. So you have access, you in there, not your hand, hear me, but you in there, you, the willful soul that's in there, have the ability to create thoughts. Can you think about a city? Can you bring back a past event? Can you not bring back a past event? You understand that? They create, they're there. That's your virtual reality. You have the ability to create on that plane whatever your will intent does. What have you done with that ability to create? This is what's important. That's what your psyche is. You've taken that energy and you took past experience that you had and you started storing. I want to teach you this. You started storing ones that you had before. I created this image of my girlfriend leaving me, walking off to the sunset. It doesn't leave me. It stays there. Every time I see a sunset, I get upset. What did you do? You stored that. That was a mental thought image, and you stored it. Where? Inside the mental plane. Most of your thoughts come and go. Some of them don't. Most of your emotions come and go. Some of them don't. Why didn't they? What stopped them? Nothing stopped them. You stopped them. Your will is the strongest force in your being. It happens to be the strongest force in the universe, but not while it's yours. While it's yours, you've limited it. Your will is what created the universe. You make me cry. The only reason your will is limited to your mind is because you keep it there. If you get further back, anything, everything, there's no limit to who you are. Your consciousness is everything, everywhere. Well, why don't I experience that? Because you're staring at your thoughts. If I stare at a picture and nothing else, that's all I see. That's my whole universe, isn't it? So it's not anything weird or mystical. The fact is, your consciousness is staring at your thoughts, staring at your emotions, staring at what's coming through your senses. Therefore, you're limited to that. Are you limited to that? Of course you're not limited to that. Stop staring at it, you'll see the rest. I always say to you guys, you're so close right now, and not just right now, all the time, you don't realize it, you're looking in front of you. Do you understand that? You're looking in front of you. How often do you look behind you without turning around? Never. Therefore, you're only seeing what's in front of you. Is there a behind you? It's the same thing inside. You don't realize it. You're always looking in front of you. You'll realize when you go deep enough inside, you realize, oh my God, I'm looking down, in front and down at my thoughts. That's where my thoughts are, in front and down from where I sit inside. That's where my emotions are, in front and down. Well, isn't there a behind? Of course there's a behind. There's no spot in the universe. The universe is the universe. What happens if you turn around? You're enlightened. That is what enlightenment is. It's ceasing to stare at this tiny, tiny part of the universe. How tiny is it? Your thoughts, your emotions, your body, and what's in front of you at any given moment. How small is that compared to what is? Therefore, that's why you're limited to that. If you don't keep staring at that, you all of a sudden realize I'm in here and I have it behind. You turn around and all of a sudden it's the whole universe. You're everywhere at once. because you didn't limit yourself. Does anybody understand that? I'm trying to give you analogies, right? It's not weird. Enlightenment is not weird. Spirituality is not weird. What's weird is that I'm going to sit there and stare at my thumb. Where'd you guys go? Did you leave? I don't know. I'm staring at my thumb. Oh, there you are. That's enlightenment. Shh. That's how close you are. It's not something you have to do. It's something you have to stop doing. You have to stop staring at this tiny little thing. All right. So events happen in your life, and some of them you hold on to. We discuss it all the time. Those are some scars. Events that you are not comfortable with, or you are very comfortable with, you don't want to go away. But the world keeps moving. Not a single thing that ever stayed in the same place, ever for a nanosecond. Every single thing is changing. You're aging. You're moving. You're outside. You're inside. Where are you? Your hair's turning gray. It's growing. Everything's changing. No atom stays in the same place. Okay? But you don't want it to go away. Either because you didn't like it, and therefore you weren't able to handle it. Therefore, you resist. This is key. You resist it. You used your will. That same will that can do everything. That same will that Sajai Baba was able to manifest. He used the will. So stuff drops. You use your will to hold on to that thought pattern, to hold on to that emotion pattern. You will not let it go. Why? Because you like it so much? No, because you don't like it. Therefore, you don't want to feel it. If I don't want to feel it, what do? I push it away. When you push it away, it stays. It's called resistance. You resisted it, and by resisting it, where's it going to go? It can't go past you. It's energy interacting with energy. Understand that? Here on the physical plane, we have form interacting with form. So when you build the Hoover Dam, there's this solid form thing. And when the Colorado River, which isn't solid, it's water, it's liquid, hits that dam, what happens? It splashes back, it circles, it can't go through. That's what you've done with those thought forms that got created in your mind that you did not want to experience. You used your will, you in there, used your will to push them away. Where did they go? They didn't go anywhere. They stopped at the force of your will, which was more solid than the energy. And I told you, they circled around themselves. The only way that energy can stay in one place is a circle. That's why a circle is such a tremendous structure on this plane. All right? So the energy needs to move. And so it circles and it stays there. That's what you started building inside your mental plane. You started building a collection of these things that you either liked or didn't like, and you built them like bricks of building a house. You held them in there. That's what you started to do with this mental plane that could do anything, go anywhere. You can think of Pluto. Poor Pluto, all right? You can think of the universe. You can think of galaxies. You can think of anything you want, can't you? You can develop any thought form you want inside. But the trouble is, some of these you couldn't handle. And so you liked it a lot, so you grabbed onto it. You didn't like it a lot, so you resisted it. Both of them stayed. And you started to build this structure inside this infinite mind plane. Like the quantum field is omnipresent. Well, your mind is omnipresent. Your mental plane is omnipresent. It's everywhere. It's all the time. But you hold on to these certain things inside of it, and then you get fixated on them. Why? Because I either liked it, that's why I'm holding on to it. I didn't like it, that's why I'm resisting it. And now my consciousness is fixated, is totally focused on keeping it or resisting it. So the event happened 2 years ago, it's still in there. Can the emotions come back? Can the whole freaky thing of everything you didn't like come back and freak you out? Yes or no? Does it in your dreams? Does it if somebody says something? Does it when you go home? Does it when you go to your high school reunion, you see somebody? Does it come back? That's because you stored it in there. This is not weird stuff. Psychology is no more interesting than physics. It's just physics at a higher vibration rate. So you held this thing in there. And so now you started collecting these things. And eventually what you did is build a virtual reality inside your mind's plane made out of the past experience that you couldn't handle. You couldn't handle going to keep them. Couldn't handle means I couldn't let it go through. You know what you handle really well? Most of you, the white lines on a road. They go right through. The trees as you drive by in the forest. Okay? But not everybody. Somebody that fell out of a certain kind of tree when they were little and they drove by and this reminded them, wait, stop. Oh my God, that tree wasn't the same as everything else. Of course it's the same as everything else, but not to you because you stored the stuff inside. So if you put on a virtual reality goggle, depending on what's going on, you may have trouble with it. But it's not real. It's not real. If you stop staring at your thoughts, they're not real. The past doesn't exist anymore. You made me cry. Not a single atom that was in the past that is now. It's making something else. But you held it in there. You made it become this house of horrors. That's what you built it, a house of horrors, didn't you? You stored every single thing that ever bothered you before. What do? I have this traumatic thing that happened to me when I was 5. How old are you now? 75. But I've never been able to get rid of this bottom of my whole life. How in the world can that happen? The event can never happen again. It didn't ever happen again. But you held it inside. You built I'm trying to get to it. You built a virtual reality inside your mind, with your mind. That's what the virtual reality is, what you built. And yours is different than yours, different than yours, different than yours. And they're a horror show. Do you understand that?